What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Not Without Merit live podcast test show. We'll be here playing the new Black Ops 3 Awakening DLC for the next hour or two, and also covering the weeks of January 25th and February 1st. I am one of your hosts, Mike. You can follow me on Twitter at JustSurvive, on YouTube, Instagram, and Twitch at MPG2. And with us, as always, every week is Jake.
Hey, what's up? You can find me on Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube at Fet the Assassin. And with us, as always, is Jacob.
Hey guys, what's going on? My name is Also Great You People. You'll see that today many times, destroying all the bitches. And you can also find me Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube.
All right.
I dig the self-promotion.
I know. I kind of wish that like my screen was the one being live because I'm just spinning a robot around in circles.
Oh.
Hello, I am Great You People. Watch me play games.
All right, so we are going to be jumping into some hardcore because that is our
While working
playlist.
on challenges.
That is our playlist. Yes,
and
I'm going
golden
for
guns because we hate ourselves.
and we're going right into Skyjack, so this will be a fun start. Anyways, let's get into the news. Of course, being the beginning of the month, it is time for free games. Out this month for PS Plus is Helldivers and Nova 111. Those are both on all three systems, PS4, PS3, and Vita. Nom Nom Galaxy on PS4, Lemmings Touch on Vita, Persona 4 Arena Ultimax on PS3, also Grid Autosport on PS3. I'm very happy that Helldivers is out because that is a game that really uses friends and co-op and communication, and being the only one that actually owned that game, I'm glad to actually have people to play it with now.
What's the party size in that game?
4.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it's a top-down shooter, right? Kind of like
Yeah,
that
it's-
Apocalypse Zombie game we used to play?
Yeah, like Dead Nation. Yeah, it's like a twin stick. I guess you can call it twin stick. Twin stick shooter. Yeah, heavily focused on co-op. The big challenge of it is that friendly fire is always on, so you have to be very apparent of you can't just blind fire and shoot like crazy and not kill your teammates. So, but it's a lot of fun.
Wait,
It's
friendly
very
fire's
tough.
always on?
Always
There's
on.
no way to turn it off?
No, that's
Wow,
just a
that's-
mechanic of the game.
Interesting.
Dark Souls
Yeah.
and twin
Does it make it difficult?
Yes, because I mean the difficulty of the game. There's I think about a 12-point difficulty scale, so you can get in some really easy maps all the way up to I think the top level is called Helldive. But it is a lot of fun. It's just it's very kind of on the nose, making fun of itself. A lot of Starship Troopers references and kind of cheesy alien kind of bugs type of movie references. So it's a lot of fun to
So-
play.
Is that also a couch co-op? Because
Yes. Yeah, it's a shared screen
you go.
co-op. Yeah, it's very easy to pick up. I mean, it's just, it's like a twin stick shooter. You get upgrades for your weapons. You can unlock new weapons and passive active abilities. It's very easy to pick up and play and figure out. But yeah,
this
the only
under
other
games
one-
you can play with your wife, right?
yes.
Yeah, that's why you guys like the couch co-op stuff. The only other one I had a real interest in is the Lemmings. I love
Yeah.
Lemmings games.
Yeah, hell yeah. I mean,
Is it a remake of the original PC one? 'Cause if it
that's
is,
what I
just,
would
on
assume.
Vita,
that's what I'm guessing.
those games are
I mean, I don't know
hard, but fun.
when the last time they've even released a legit Lemmings game, a new one.
Well-
Every one I've seen is just a port of the original. Hell, I don't even know if they made more than one Lemmings game.
I think they made a couple back in the day on PC, but there wasn't any difference in them besides.
I mean, it was always the same
the
game, just new
puzzle
maps.
generator
Yeah.
levels.
Yeah, new
it's
maps,
one of those
new
games that
character
if you had
types.
a mod for, you could probably have one game and be fine.
Hell, I remember playing that on Super Nintendo back in the 90s. Hey, you almost killed me.
Yeah, that game was
That's
yeah,
old
I
school.
almost
Old
did.
school.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, that game was awesome.
And then
Like
moving
the
over.
original
I don't think I've
puzzle
ever played.
platformer.
Oh, yeah. One of the originals.
Although it's not really a platformer, it's more they have their mind of their own, kind of. You have to direct
Yeah.
traffic.
Kind of almost a management type thing, as well as
It's
having,
weird. There's
puzzle
no other
elements
game
to it.
that's ever really like it that I can think of.
No.
It involves so many different elements.
And then moving on to Xbox, they will be getting Hand of Fate on Xbox One from the 1st to the 29th. Styx Master
Is that
of
card game?
Yes. I've heard it's actually pretty decent, so
Yeah, so have I.
And then they're also getting Styx Master of Shadows, which was also just recently on PS4 from the.
I heard that was pretty good too.
Yes, also that was like fairly decent. I think it's kind of like a stealth-based kind of platformy game. That is from the 16th to March 15th, and then 360, which now all these games are backwards compatible from day one. They're getting Sacred Citadel from the 1st to the 15th, and then Gears of War 2 from the 16th to the 29th. Not the best Gears game, but eh.
So there was something like Unheroes or Heroes on there?
Heroes.
Was that last month?
That might have been last month.
Oh, last month.
So I downloaded something yesterday, and it was Hand of Fate was the other one, actually.
Yeah.
But Heroes, it was something like Heroes, and I downloaded it. It was free. It looked basically kind of the.
It could have just been like a
It was
free
couch
game
co-op.
for the month.
Yeah,
They just
maybe it
kind
was a
of not
Games with Gold
announced.
thing.
Yeah.
But looked pretty decent. Looked like a just a fun little gimmicky game where you kind of run around and do all those. I'm trying to think of a game that would be kind of similar to one of those where you get like several multipliers for beating up characters as you kind of run through and curb stomp people. And
It's got like an action, like a 2D action game type.
it's 3D.
Okay.
Actually surprising. But it plays like the old, Double Dragon games.
Ah,
Yeah,
so
they
like
kinda-
a beat 'em up,
Like Battletoads and Double Dragon.
like a 2D beat 'em up.
It's
Played
like
a little bit like that.
side-scrolling- So it's a
Where you
side-scrolling beat 'em up.
Yes, it is. Although the graphics looked a little bit more integrated. The trailer didn't really show you too much into the gameplay. It kind of did more of the jokes on itself. It's one of those games that likes to be
Self-aware.
has all the like the yeah,
it's
like
self-referencing.
it kind
Yeah.
of makes its own quirks, like the lead characters, flexing his muscles and being funny and making funny comments or whatever.
It's a
But
big thing in indie
couch
games.
co-op. Couch co-op seems to be something that I typically try to grab if I can.
Of course.
So that was on there as well. I don't know if that's still on there or if that was just me catching something quickly. But
Yeah, you might call it like a tail end of last month's deal, perhaps. But also
they do
continuing.
their fucking things so weird.
Yeah, I
Sorry.
still don't get why they do like these like dates. It's so hard to keep up with. Like, just do it first of the month, last of the month. You got all this like shit half the month, and then now they have one game that crosses over from like the middle of this month to the middle of next month. Like
You
I
want to be different.
like I don't know, maybe
Yes,
they
or just offer diversity.
yeah.
Well, how is that any different than PS4?
Ah,
Just worse, because PS4 gives
Yeah.
you all the games at
It
once.
gives them the ability to space out their contracts, so paying these things off isn't an upfront cost each month. It's a
Oh, from a
continuous
yeah,
cost.
okay. From
looking
a
at it from a business
cost-
standpoint.
Yeah, okay. That's not a user-friendly standpoint, though.
It just depends. I guess it gives people time to download a free game and then,
Yeah.
decide that they want to
Yeah.
play the next one a couple
I
weeks
get-
later.
Yeah, the
rather
only
than
thing I can
download it
see
all
is
at
that
once.
it gives like each game a chance to shine on its own, like in the spotlight for being free. Maybe that might
Fair
be
enough.
like the deals that they work out, where it's each game you're gonna get a little bit of spotlight, not just have them all at once, and then no one really differentiates between them. Ooh, this is a close game.
I guess. Yeah.
Made quite the comeback here. And then speaking
we
of free games, Vote to Play is coming back next month for PS Plus for the month of March. Yes.
Again, that has a game that everybody's going to vote for, and that's going to win unanimously.
Right. Oh
I
wow.
just got the final kill. Booyah.
100 to 99.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember what the... Tell me what the three games are.
well,
'cause
first
as
off,
soon
the
as I look at
voting-
the list-
Yeah, the voting's going to start this upcoming Tuesday the 9th. The three games will be Action Hank, Assault Android Cactus, and Broforce, which more than likely is
That's
probably
what
going
it
to be
is,
the
Broforce,
surefire
yeah.
winner. But
That's
which,
what
I
it
mean,
is.
out of the three would be the game I would vote for anyways, because it looks like the
I want
most
to play
fun.
that game regardless.
Yeah, basically like a 2D shoot 'em up, very much throwbacks to like 80s style action movies. Lots of like again
Contra
self-referential stuff.
style.
Yeah, very Contra. It's got online
Well,
co-op.
it's a one-hit kill.
Yeah, and then Action
and
Hank.
every character is a different action star from a movie or a
Yeah, it's
comic
all
book or
kind of
something
like
that.
close parody to lots of 80s action stuff. Action Hank is a 2D platformer, kind of like time trial based, trying to beat like each level within your best times, beating having checkpoints in there, kind of like Trials ish. And then Assault Android Cactus is your typical top down 3D twin stick shooter. Looks all
I like
interesting.
the name of it though.
Yeah.
That game has an awesome name.
then going back to what seems to be the final secret, not so secret reveal of Xbox One sales. EA CFO Blake Jorgensen said in their most recent conference call, earnings call, that the install base of both the PS4 and Xbox One combined is 55 million units. So with Sony just recently revealing that 35.9, we'll just call it 36 million PS4s have been sold, take that out of that total and you leave 19 million Xbox One units. So they're a little over half of what Sony has sold, which, I mean, it's not bad. They're still, ahead of 360's kind of projections, but, you never want to admit you're second place. So I guess that's kind of why they never really put this out there.
They were going to be second place from the get-go, though.
Right.
That's why they stopped revealing. Once you stop revealing numbers, something's going on.
But I mean, I wouldn't. That's why I imagine they're not panicking. There's still there's 20 million units out there. It's not like they're
making money.
It's not like it's a Wii U situation where it's 3 years later and they've barely cracked 10 million. And they're still doing well. If anything, that just gives them more motivation to try to shake things up. And they did that with the backwards compatibility. Had they been in the position Sony's in, doubt that would have even came about. So.
I don't know. I mean, they seem to like to appeal to their gaming community more than anything else. Just seems like they have a stronger, I don't know, entanglement with their community.
That's true.
That's the word I was looking for.
Xbox Live, I guess, is a stronger platform than PSN.
Oh yeah,
well,
it's
always
established
going to be.
much
You don't
longer.
have the same fucking issues that PlayStation seems to always have, and I feel like the free games thing, something that Xbox probably would have never ever done had PlayStation not even.
No,
started
yeah.
that.
Once PS Plus out the gate, everyone said that was one of the best deals in gaming. That started long before games was gold. Hell, for Xbox Live pretty much having a 2 or 3 year head start on Sony. Sony pretty much started with that PS Plus again, probably a good 2 to 3 years before games with gold came about, and
of course, I think the whole free game thing came because they had to start charging for people to play on their service.
Right.
I mean, and Xbox had been doing that from the get-go, but gave you a much better service. It's still very true. They still give you a much better service.
Mm-hmm.
But, to me, it's one of those things that Xbox seems to be more involved with their community. They do more to actually try to give people the things they want as opposed to just throwing gimmicks and shit out there every once in a while. I mean, a lot of people said they wanted backwards compatibility. Now, are they giving them the games that people want? Absolutely not, because that costs a lot of money. But
right, yeah, that's
they're
why you
still
see all
doing
the
certain things
people bitching every month, oh, I want Killzone, I want Knack, I want all these AAA titles, and
I think
they're
PlayStation
coming.
does a pretty good job
Yeah.
of giving us pretty quality titles.
I mean, just like Xbox is games with gold, not every month is going to be an amazing game that you want to play. For as many games as I've gotten but all the games that I've wanted to play and gotten for free definitely justify the cost. I mean, it's $50 a year. It's cheaper than what I'm paying for Netflix, or if you pay for Spotify or Hulu.
Any paid subscription, this is much cheaper, and the value, while it's not exponentially greater, because you're not actually getting a product for what you pay for, you're just getting the capability to play online, which I guess could be considered a product.
Right. I mean,
But
a lot
it's
of people
still
bitched for
dirty cheap.
Sony because they did end up charging. A lot of people didn't care for that. Oh, son of a gun.
Well, everybody expects everything for free.
Right.
Everybody wants to feel the burn. Make this a political show.
But I mean, both the services are good. Sony's is getting better. They still need to kind of get rid of these, mandatory maintenance things that seem to be happening more and more, shutting down the service for hours at a time. But it's improving. It's improving. And moving on to our roundup here. Final Fantasy XV's release date is finally going to be revealed. They're actually having an entire event based around it. It will be March 30th will be the event, and along with showing more footage from the game and everything, the big reveal will be the release date of the game. Finally,
I'm not a big Final Fantasy fan, so
I just want this
me,
game to be out. I'm sick of hearing about it.
This isn't something I'm sitting anxious for.
Year.
Yeah.
I mean, the end of this year, but it'll happen. I assume. if they're pulling together this big of a conference, there's no reason why it shouldn't come out this year.
You'd think. I don't know.
For a game that's been in production for like
I was
fucking
gonna
ever.
say,
Lifetime.
Since 2006, I think it was first announced. 2006, 2008. Yeah, this game's been worked on for way too long. It just needs to come
whenever
out.
13 came out is when 15 was talked
No,
about.
it was announced before. Because this was announced the same time as 13. Because this 15 was a
whenever 13.
Yeah,
Oh, they were announced the same time. Okay.
yeah.
Because it
But
was
13 was
and
already
13
longer
were
in
going to be the
development.
story games, and then 14 was going to be the MMO, and then they were going to have 15. Wow, it has been a long time.
Yeah, way too
10
long.
years.
Ugh.
Maybe they're just throwing a 10-year anniversary party.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here's a game that we're still working on and still haven't finished.
Well, I mean, they have this,
Congratulations
they have
to us.
Seven's remake coming out. I mean, they have a lot of
2025.
stuff on the books. Yeah, and they have Kingdom Hearts 3.
Yeah,
so-
Kingdom Hearts 3.
I mean,
Oh yeah, they have a
of-
lot on their table. They just need to actually fucking release these games that they've been talking about for a decade now.
Right. Yeah, well, people want them, so
Oh,
they're
yeah.
going to make them. It's just a matter of time.
And as far as other announcements, Lego Star Wars The Force Awakens was announced, not to the surprise of many
Out
people.
of nowhere.
I expected it.
I mean,
you know, I figured it was going to
Everybody
happen.
expected it,
But yeah,
Every time
surprise
there's a big
announcement for
movie
sure.
or it's something that makes tons of money, they're on it.
I'm surprised that
Oh,
the
yeah, of
announcement kind of
course, but it
was
was
out
just-
of nowhere. I thought they would have tied this in with like a
Yeah, that's
major
what-
release, like the day the Blu-ray comes out. Be like, hey,
That's what my assumption would be, too.
or you know, sometime around the release of the movie. This is kind of like we're in February. Like nothing big Star Wars is happening right now, except you know the movie's still out and making a shitload of money. Other than that,
Yeah, it just crossed the 2 billion mark. It's
Yeah.
the most successful movie of all time.
Thank God, because fucking, what was
Avatar.
it, Avatar before that?
Fucking worst
Dances
movie
with
in the
Wolves
world.
with blue people.
Oh, it was worse than Dances with Wolves, and I hate Dances with Wolves. The only positive thing about Avatar was the actors and actresses playing blue people.
Not necessarily. It was, I mean, the advances they made in graphics were cool, but they would.
oh yeah, I mean for the time, like
Yeah,
the
the visuals
3D
were great.
technology was through the roof, like amazing. And that was, I mean, that was the only reason I
Story-wise,
saw
though,
it.
it
That's
wasn't
still,
anything special.
to this day, the only
The only
3D
reason
movie
most
I've ever
people saw
seen.
it.
Yeah, that's the only movie I've ever seen in 3D. And probably the last movie I'll ever see in 3D.
I get
the
sick
only
watching
word-
movies in 3D, so I'm not a big fan of
I'm
it.
the exact same way.
I
And
didn't get
unless the movie's
sick.
made for 3D.
I didn't get sick, but I think the cost is not worth it. Like $15 for a movie. Yeah, no thank you.
That too.
Yeah, cheaper you
I mean,
are.
All
well,
movies
I
are
mean,
way too expensive
non-matinee. You know, when you go, you know, on a nighttime. Because hell,
Fair
even
enough.
seeing a regular movie is like, you know, $10.
Yeah.
But yeah, it wasn't worth it. It didn't add enough for the experience for me to go, oh my gosh, I have to see everything in 3D. Like I have no interest in even seeing Star Wars in 3D. Like who cares?
Again, unless the movie is made for 3D,
Right, that has to
which
be the thing, too.
Avatar was.
Right.
It, like all these other movies, they say, "Oh,
It's
you
just
can
a
watch
scene.
it in 3D."
There's like a couple
There-
scenes.
a couple
nice.
scenes, or but it's a transfer over. It's not an actual. It wasn't
Right.
filmed in 3D. Avatar was filmed using 3D.
It's just
cameras.
like
There's a
Star Wars was with
difference.
IMAX. Only like certain scenes were filmed with IMAX. The entire movie
Right.
wasn't filmed
Well,
in IMAX.
Nolan started doing that with
Right.
the
Was it-
Batman
it's-
movies.
I
when he
thought it was
started-
Inception too.
No. Dark Knight did it first.
Mm.
When he did the whole bank scene in the beginning, that whole like 6.5 minute intro is all in IMAX, and then some of the big shots are in IMAX. Yeah, Inception I think is mostly in IMAX actually, but that's a movie that deserves to be.
Right, with all the
Gigantic.
effects and like the kind of world that movie's in, it definitely fit. More announcements
I
coming.
assume Gravity was good.
You know, that was one I was really like on the fence. Like I should see that. I saw it in the theater. It was still amazing. That's a movie
I hated
that's
that
absolutely
movie.
worth. I mean, it was overrated, but as far as just like visual experience,
Oh, visually,
incredible.
Yeah. But
Like I'm a
story-wise,
space like nerd. I will
so
see any
boring.
spacey movie in a theater just because that's like probably one of the most amazing things to see on a big screen. Is just like space. Yeah, the story was whatever, but like the effects and the environment that made that movie worth watching. I probably
Visually,
like
it
I
was
only
the
watched
best
it once in the
space
theater.
movie.
That's a movie you see in the
Yeah.
theater, and it's like Avatar. Don't really need to see it again because you go for the
But
experience,
that
not the
also
actual
created
story.
the coolest environment ever, because that's the most realistic
Oh, fuck
space
yeah.
environment we've ever seen.
Oh,
I
absolutely.
guess Interstellar did a pretty good job too.
Yeah, Interstellar. I did not see that in the theater, so I couldn't comment on that. But I imagine it would be just as as good of a big screen experience.
The latter third of that movie ruined everything for me.
It was too long to begin with.
Well, that too. Well, the final half an hour scene is like insane. It does
Yeah.
not need to be that long.
All right, moving on to more announcements and reveals. Uncharted 4 PS4 bundle was announced. Will be releasing, of course, as the same day as the game, April 26th. I wasn't too big on this bundle. I think it looks kind of ugly, personally.
Oh, is it an actual like?
Yeah, like a
different looking
legit, like
PS4?
custom. It's kind of like this.
What's
they
it
call
look
it.
like?
They call
Let
it
me pull it up.
blue gray, and it's like a blue gray
Oh,
PS4,
you know-
and it's got like like a silhouette of Drake on there, on the system itself, and there's a
Actually
controller
like
too.
yeah.
the colors. I don't like the console, but I actually like the colors. It's
And they
the
will-
ones that they use.
Yeah, and they're going to have a special controller with it as well, which will be sold solo, and they're also branding their gold wireless headphones with the same color and branding,
Actually,
which will also be sold on their own.
Jacob's right. This gray blue is kind of cool looking.
The controller
It
is
looks-
nice, but for like the console, Like, I can
looks
see
like
myself
the
getting one of those
20th
controllers.
anniversary controller.
Yeah.
What else could they do? You know, when you think about, and I'm actually sad that I just bought the 20th anniversary controller.
Hey, that's a
and
damn
that
good
wow,
fucking
they
awesome.
showed that one.
I love
I
this. thing.
really like this 20th anniversary, mostly because the PS button in the middle is
Right.
the old school PlayStation thing.
That was worth the extra
Um,
$5.
I know, right? But me personally, I actually like the color combination on that one. And the console, I mean, yeah, it's in silhouette of Drake, but what else are they gonna do? I mean,
Right, I mean,
It's not like
I think it just has
there's
so much.
some kind of-
I feel like that color does not really look well on the PS4. It looks great on the controller, on the console, not so much.
yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I like that color; it's one of my favorites.
A campaign trailer for Doom was just put out earlier this week. Also,
That
with it
thing looks
came.
awesome.
Yeah, I went from kind of lukewarm on that game to watching that campaign trailer and going, "Damn, that looks fucking awesome." Release date
what's
will
cool about
be
it is
May
it looks like
13th of this
Doom-
year.
Oh wow, it's a lot sooner than I
Yeah.
thought. It's Doom. It looks like Doom just with incredibly high res graphics and like the original Doom,
Yeah,
like
very
those
much
kind of
so.
levels and shit. That's why I think it's gonna do well.
Oh my god, that's terrible. Yeah, there was a lot of like, I guess it's kind of hard to see without like any sort of pop. It looks like what's going to be like a lot of like quick time events type things because there's a lot of like run up to this character and then with the chainsaw you chainsaw his leg and then his head, or you rip out this dude's gut and shove it in his face. So I don't know how much of that
Well, I
is
don't
just
know
like
if there were
quick
gonna
time
be
eventy things,
QuickTime,
or it's
or
just
if it's gonna be
like
Gears
that's
of War
how-
style,
Right.
where it's like chainsaw and then some animation happens.
right. But anyway, it looked. Oh my gosh. They were trying to go over the top for gore. They certainly succeeded. Because good God, that might be one of the
Especially with the bubble
bloodiest,
at the end.
goriest games I've ever seen. But
Yeah.
I mean, that's what Doom's supposed to be. So I mean, any less, I would almost kind of be disappointed for a next gen Doom to not look like that. Well, we did talk earlier about no word on single-player DLC for GTA Online, and looks like we might have the reason why. There have been some reports kind of extrapolating info from their most recent financial report about how much money, Take-Two has made over the last year. And the rumor is going that through the microtransactions on GTA Online, they're making upwards of $250 million a year on that shit.
Yes, this is what we said last week.
Is this the
There's
shark
no
cards?
reason for
Yes,
them
I mean as right now that's the only thing they sell as far as DLC. So, but that's friggin' crazy. They make that much money. I would have never
Well,
thought.
I mean, it's nothing money.
Where
They
it's
really don't
devoted.
have to do anything
Right.
to make
All they
money
have
off of it.
All they have to do is like worry about balancing their economy, which now you can see why it's heavily favored towards you paying, since they just released
There's
those
so
yachts
much
and their
shit you can
$6
buy.
million yachts. But yeah,
It's ridiculous. And you know what? It's if you play that game a lot, that's the stuff to have. Like that's
Right.
what makes the game continuously fun.
Mhm.
You can't really move too much further into the game without having stuff like that because it literally you get left out. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
I remember when the Lowrider stuff came out.
Mm-hmm.
Or no, it wasn't the Lowrider. It was the first like big
The
heist.
heist. Oh yeah,
type
and they
thing
released a
where
bunch
all
of
the
new
extra
vehicles
guns and tanks and all that stuff.
Like,
and
yeah,
you
that-
were kind of
oh,
left
yeah,
in the
you-
dust if you didn't have a couple of the different
'Cause,
assets that you could pick up.
Yeah, that vehicle that has like the turret on top, it was like in the millions, or it was like just under $1 million. It was like $970,000, which you would pretty much have to
But
play
it
every
rents-
heist to completion to acquire that much money.
Yeah, And it wrecks. I mean, it literally is a fantastic
Oh yeah,
vehicle.
you get your money's worth. It's just unfortunate how slow the crawl is to get money in that game, unless
And
when they do
now we
double
understand
XP.
why, because
Oh yeah, I mean they're very
made
smart.
Tons of money.
Rockstar is certainly not
Business-wise,
stupid.
very savvy.
Yeah, just
And
unfortunate on the
hopefully
gamer
this
side.
has given them enough
Oh,
money to at least come out with something good. Because if they now come out with some DLC and it's garbage, the
Yeah.
backlash is going to be ridiculous. People will drop that shit in a heartbeat.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Maybe that's probably why they're maybe at best working on like heist DLC. That's the only thing I can see them
It's
working
gotta
on.
be.
Because it's going to be
Because people have
online. No
invested
one's
way too much into the other world.
right. No one's going to pay for just like missions, just like straight up regular missions. That's
They
a
give us
waste of
those
money.
for free now anyway.
Right, even more so, right. We get those for free with like the lowriders updates. Like that's the only thing I could see them charging for is like kind of lowriders, because that kind of had a little bit of story thrown in. It wasn't just like here's 7 new generic ass missions that mean nothing. But lowriders actually had, that was actually really well done DLC. Like it had like a story in there. You actually got some reasonable upgrades for like your vehicles and shit. So I was glad to see them do stuff like that. That's what I want to see more of out of Rockstar when it comes to GTA Online. And they also have been kind of rumoring about that they're going to release GTA Online as like a free standalone product. Like for people that, even though that game has now sold over 60 million copies, if you're one of the few people that doesn't own it, you'll be able to download GTA Online for free and just play that game without having to own the DLC.
Really? They're releasing it as a free-to-play?
It's a rumor. It's not a 100% thing, but that was their plan from the beginning, was eventually to make GTA Online
Oh,
like
yeah,
its
no, I
own
know
game.
that.
So,
I guess they're just making more money faster than they...
oh yeah.
They could probably put a lot more advertisements than they thought in it too, and sell advertisement space.
Oh yeah, hell yeah.
Oh, that's true too.
I'm surprised like the billboards in that game haven't been like swapped out for like real life ads.
Some of them have.
Oh really? I have not
Some
noticed.
of them are real products. I've seen
Okay.
real product ads in that game.
That doesn't surprise me in the least then. Because I remember that was a big thing probably like 4 or 5 years ago, but never really caught on for too long. But hell, when you have 60 million units out there, I'm sure that ad space is highly coveted.
Oh yeah. And I'm sure they have numbers of how many people play their game on a consecutive basis, daily activity rates, stuff like
Oh,
that. I can't believe they're making that much money. That's just crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It really took the wind out of my
Buy
sails.
shark
It's like,
cards.
I mean, I'm not going to say I've bought multiple shark cards, but that's when they were all on sale for half price. Because it's, at that point, it's a fairly decent kind of value proposition on money spent versus what you get for that money.
Exactly.
Because when they're selling $100 shark cards that give you, I think it's like 8 million in-game dollars, it's like, whew, you have to really love this game to spend that much money on just on spending real money on fake money.
That's how most of these free-to-play survive.
Oh
and
yeah, for
that's-
sure.
Microtransactions are literally becoming I would say, the cancer of video games, because a lot of these free-to-play games are highly addictive. They get younger
Oh,
kids,
yeah.
anything involved, and the only way to progress or even
mean, they're
play the game
marketed
like it's a
towards
AAA
people.
title is to literally spend hundreds of dollars. I mean, iTunes, I guarantee the iTunes cards sell like
yeah.
crazy for
Oh.
different games. I mean, we were talking not too long ago about these mobile games and how much money they make. Puzzles and Dragons,
Gosh, yeah. Like Clash of Clans,
which is
all those making like
Clash of
millions of
Clans.
dollars a day.
billions. Clash of Clans actually stretched into the billion.
Oh.
So it's, they had like a gross product revenue or something. I can't remember the specific terminology they used, but basically they took home 1.3 something billion dollars, which is just ridiculous. And to me, it's scary because people are going to look at these titles now and say, well, why isn't your game,
Right.
blah, blah,
Why
blah. Let's
make
put
some bullshit
microtransactions
like
in it."
$10 game literally with microtransactions and call it a day? Like, it's sad now
And-
when developers have to come out ahead, like the Division just did, and they're like, we're not put any, the only paid content that's going to be in the Division is like DLC content. Like, there's not going to be any pay to win, pay to skip, pay to get better. Like, you're not going to be able to buy specific guns. Like, we're just going to add new content in the form of, missions,
Of course,
things like
then
that.
again, it would have been productive even if they had. Like
Oh,
Destiny
yeah.
is pretty much doing.
Yeah,
Destiny
I mean,
is
they're on
sitting
the
here
cusp of
promising
it.
you content.
They're so
and
close to doing
promising
it.
you so
Ooh.
much different stuff.
So close.
And
Yeah,
I played
well-
terribly on that one. But they
So
they like Destiny right now hasn't had any new content since September. And
Well-
they promise, you know, that
But
they're
that's
going to
where
have an
they had
announcement in
Sparrow
February.
Did-
racing and all that bullshit, and it's
And they have that
all,
February Valentine's Day event thing, which I've heard is almost
What?
exactly like the Halloween one, where it's a bunch of hokey
But,
like
but
items.
those things are
Collecting
littered
quest?
with needing to buy silver to
And
do
the
certain
payoff at the
things.
end of those was
Well, that's-
nothing. Like there was no payoff to that. It was just, hey, you have some
that's the point.
aesthetic horseshit.
They're
And
fin-
like once I
Well, they're
figured out the
financed
end game
by
of that
us.
Halloween stuff, I deleted it all. I'm like, oh, so I'm doing this all for essentially nothing. Like, why would I waste my time?
Yeah.
And that's the reason why I haven't
get
played
an item
Destiny
that
in probably like
doesn't even last.
4 months. Right. It was all
Yeah.
temporary shit to begin with. I mean,
And
yeah,
all the
we could have a
DLC
whole
is
discussion on
financed by
the problems with
people
Destiny as
buying
well.
the emotes and stuff.
Yeah,
Well, it's fallen into the same problem it did last year. Is that it gave us a great start, and we played it for a while, and then they didn't
Yeah.
expand on that stuff.
I mean, you know, I don't know if I'm defending them in the sense, but like when you want an MMO-esque game and you don't have a subscription fee or DLC on the regular, I imagine, you know, it's hard probably to fund a team working around the clock to keep that game. I'm sure they've, you know, are flush with money, but at the same time, they're not going to give away too much for free when they see how well everything sells once they put out those
I
expansions.
get it.
And further
I
on
get
that,
it.
rumor is that Destiny 2 will not be coming out this year. That they're not going to hit. There's not going to be an actual like release. They're going to have to delay it. Which, you know, hey, if that means that they actually, you know, get it, you know, improve on the formula more and get me to play that game for more than, you know, 2 to 3 months a year, good for them. I mean, I would be happy to
I
go
do
back to
agree.
playing Destiny, but like as it is right now, once you reach that ceiling, I kind of am off with that game. Like you can only run those raids so many times and get the same gear over and over before you're just like, I can't play this anymore. I'm literally just copy pasting the same thing.
Yeah.
Hideo Kojima and Guillermo del Toro are holding a keynote presentation at the DICE conference, which is February 16th. Now, that pretty much sent the internet into a frenzy, thinking that, you know, now, well, it won't be PT since, you know, Konami owns that, but something in the lines of PT might actually come to life, which is
Fuck,
awesome.
they can just do exactly what they wanted
Right.
to do and just call
Change
it
the
something
setting, change the
different. That
characters.
game was-
You know, the
Yeah.
concept
The
will
game
probably
was
still be
normally
there.
I guess.
Hardcore team
Yeah, I would imagine not, but you know, I think the game would have been fine without him. I don't think
Yeah,
he
I
was
mean-
going to be the make or break of that. But that's cool. I'm glad to see that they're actually going to work together after all that fallout after, you know, him leaving.
Well,
I was
they didn't have
excited.
Fallout
Well,
together.
yeah, the
Konami
fallout
had
of
the fallout.
Konami and Kojima.
Yeah.
So I'm glad to see
I'm
that
excited
project
because
isn't
I
dead.
love Guillermo del Toro, and I think that he can do fantastic things with his, I don't know, the way he sees and imagines the worlds that he creates. To
His
me,
monsters are awesome.
is well, yeah, but I mean, like watching his movies, there's certain things you can always look for. He loves insects. He loves, or insect-like things. He loves clocks. He loves, what's the other one? Basically, golden jewelry, clocks. Oh god, there's more things. Vampires. He loves vampires, but it's not what I'm trying to think of. Anyways, what he pulls together like is fantastic, and every single movie he's done, from The Devil's Backbone to Pan's Labyrinth, I've loved. It's artistically beautiful. So
He did
if he can do
Hellboy
a
too,
video
right?
game,
Yeah,
he did the
Hellboy.
Hellboy
Well,
movies.
the Hellboy movies, I should say specifically.
I'm not as big of a fan of Kojima because he just kind of goes out there with the shit that he does. Like some of it's too abstract for me.
Oh, I mean, yeah.
Um,
But the fact that he's been
But-
working on only Metal Gear for the last like 15 years, I just want to see something new from him.
yeah, that's very true. PT looks really promising too. So if
Right.
they have like TP or whatever they want to call it, then I'm
And
all down for it.
even more to the point, I'm more just excited for a horror game that's not like, you know, Amnesia or Outlast, where it's just strictly trying to scare you, like to get those shock moments. Like I want
Very
something,
true.
you know, Silent Hill was those types of games where it wasn't just, didn't have just shock moments, but also just creepy, fucked up shit that was really horrifying to look
Resident
at.
Evil was like that too, or at least
For a
the
time,
original
well, it
Resident Evil
was,
games.
you know, the last couple,
first
you know,
one.
5 and 6 weren't really at that point anymore. They were just, yeah, here's some
There's-
zombie
Fuck,
type
I
shit.
stopped at I'd say it stopped at 3. 1 and
Yeah,
2 were
four
more
four was a great
survival.
game, but it didn't really have like the horror much to it anymore. It wasn't really scary.
4
Still a
was the
great
best
game though.
action survival.
Right, it was right.
Fucking Resident Evil game. Great game.
There's several horror games coming out this year. Me and my wife the other day watched a video on IGN of 15 upcoming horror games, and several of them looked really good. I can't
Really?
remember the name of the one that I know I really want. It looks like a Clockwork Orange. It's like We Something Few.
Oh, we the yeah.
You know what I'm talking about, though. But it looks like a Clockwork Orange.
You know why I know it? Because Level Up is doing the fucking advertising and merchandising for
Can't
it.
find any
Oh,
of that.
gotcha.
Oh, there's a guy.
But there's that one. There was another one that like took place underwater that looked really, really like it would make you feel uncomfortable the whole time you're playing the game. I'll go find the list, and next time we will have that list on this show. But there were several that looked really, really good. Just from the horror genre, because that's something I like. I like to be terrified of.
Well, I know
video
there's
games.
also that Adrift game. I don't know if you want to throw it into the horror category. It was kind of like the one where you're floating out in space and like your kind of spaceship you're in exploded and you're trying to float around figuring out what happened and you have to like keep collecting
was one of
oxygen. Like I know that's coming out this year. I don't know if that's kind of horror is maybe a bit of a stretch, but maybe
suspenseful.
Suspense,
But
yeah, suspense
and
thriller.
they were definitely stretching the definition of, but these
Right,
could be
it's
considered
such a
horror
vague
games.
title. But yeah, I'm some like horror games.
I will
Like
find the
sign
list,
me up.
and I will let you know of them, and we'll have them looked at and talked about next
Yeah,
time.
absolutely. Because I'm always game for more horror stuff that's not just like those Amnesia style games. They have their place, but you play a couple of those, you're kind of over it. You're kind of over the genre as a whole.
They're all the same, aren't they?
At some point, yeah, it's like you get jump scared. It's like, all right, it's just like, how are they going to jump scare me? It doesn't get, the originality gets lost when it's just, and then it almost gets to the point where it gets predictable. It's like, oh, yeah, there's going to be a guy around this corner. Like, I already know. Like, all the cues. You learn all the cues and all the setups, so it doesn't even become a surprise. Right, pretty much. Moving on to Volition, doing something that is rarely, if ever, seen. Released an unfinished prototype of a game, Saints Row Undercover for PSP. A game that was being worked on, for quite some time during kind of the height of the PSP, roughly like 7 or 8 years ago. The game was fairly complete. It looked like it may be around 60 to 70% complete when it was
Is this something that's
canned.
actually releasing?
I mean, they're not putting out a disc. Like, they released just a straight-up ISO for it. So, find your PSP or an emulator, and you can just load it up and play. Like, they released the ISO. It's a really cool move. Like, when you hear about all these games that get canceled, especially ones that were kind of far into production, I always wanted to be like, I want to see something. I'd still like to play it. I understand, developers can't release unfinished games. It kind of hurts your cred a lot when you're putting stuff out like that. But it's still cool to see stuff like this exist.
Yeah, especially since they're willing to just give you, give it to you. Just be like, go
for free.
do it
Be like,
yourself.
here, fuck it. Here's a game we worked on that never saw the light of day, and have fun. We're not going to make any money on it, so just take it.
I wish more devs did that, because there's so many games that don't exist purely for the reason of like, we stopped working on it.
Right, for whatever reason, companies go out of business, budget gets too high or something crazy. Oh, sorry, Hive, not really. And then the final bit of news this week, which will actually lead into our topic of the week, The Division. Couple YouTubers have been going around since, of course, map size always comes into play when talking about these kind of open world games. The name of the one video I watched escaped me, but there's a lot of videos out there that have done it. Kind of did a little map comparison to 2 other games, GTA and Fallout 4, as far as the size of the map. Now, of course, comparing the size of
We don't know
to
the
GTA.
final size, do we?
Yes, we do. You could see it in the beta. They did show you kind of like an outline of the playable space for at least what's releasing day one. So you did get to see that. And comparing that to GTA, it was roughly about the size of the city of Los Santos, like taking out, the desert and mountainous areas. It was about the same size as the main city.
Small to me.
But in the same doing the same measurement comparisons, the map was almost the exact same size as Fallout 4.
Oh.
Yeah, it's because
So
it's dense.
it's a big map, like
Well,
a
Fallout
big
4
map.
feels bigger because you don't have any way of getting around quickly.
Also true.
Same thing's going
Well,
to be in this
in
game.
GTA, you can the car. And
Right.
the first thing, if I'm just going to go ahead and dive in really quick, the first thing that bothered me about this game was the fact that if I wanted to get across the map, it was going to take fucking ever.
Yep.
Yeah, not being
Unless
able to.
it had a quick
yeah, might as
travel.
well just jump right into playing the beta because we all played the fuck out of it. Yeah, that was like probably one of my biggest complaints. Maybe this will be alleviated since we only played a portion of the game, but like
I'm going to
being able to go
once
to
there's
the
like a mission that's been
Right.
completed, or like you get a new location, because you can fast travel to your home base. You know
right.
how
That
many
was you
locations
can
like
only
you're gonna
fast
get?
travel to players in your party or to like your bases of operations, which at the section of the game that they gave you there were only 2. Yeah, the big
Players in the
complaint.
party thing is a nice.
Yeah,
feature,
it was
though.
so seamless.
That's
Like jumping
really, really
in and out of
nice.
parties, it was so nice to just be able to there was some loading, but other than that, like once that game boots up, unless you're jumping into parties, there's no loading. Like everything
And
is masked behind walking through doors fairly well, but it wasn't like you were staring at a screen for 2 minutes at a time.
we kind of found out a way to manipulate the world where we could get more than 4 of us in.
Right? It's
I mean, it doesn't
kind of
work every time.
yeah,
but
it's not a foolproof solution, but it's better than nothing. But yeah,
you saw other people on the map, which I found really interesting too.
yeah,
Like,
that
you
was
saw
it was
other
a
friends
weird.
on the map
I
without
wish
them being in
that
your
would
world.
be. I like that that's there. I wish it was done differently because it was just you saw him. They could be standing right next to you in their world, but the color of their friend is no different than the 3 friends that are in your party playing with you right then
Right.
and there. So I would be maybe kind of like do a little color palette swap on those guys to make them look different, and so you can easily
Or have it be a
differentiate
feature
between
you can turn
right.
on and off.
But yeah, I did not like the
understand
fact
why
that you
they're
had
doing
to walk to the DZ. Like that was really the only thing you kind of had to walk to. Hopefully there will be like some
yeah.
sort of fast travel point. Or it pretty much turned into, hey, one guy run there and then everyone else in the party just fast travel to me once I get there. Which, a slight workaround, but not a huge
I
deal.
assume there'll be more entrant points to the DZ.
Right.
though, than-
Absolutely.
I mean, you could see them on the map anyway.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you
They
saw,
just
like,
weren't
I
accessible yet.
I think what we got to use was maybe 20% of the map.
Again, though, it's dense. You're
Oh, yeah,
walking
it's a
through buildings,
very
you're going
dense map.
through- Yeah.
Yeah, there's no
So,
no
I am-
vehicles of any kind. So yeah, there's a lot to cover.
I am
You weren't able
disappointed
to
it's
pull
only
out as
Midtown.
many buildings as I thought you would be able to either. Speaking of density,
Yeah,
you know,
It might
like,
be just the beta, though, also. You never know.
damn. We got
You
it.
may be able to
Had a
go
shot
into
lined
more
up.
Yeah, I missed
As,
too.
as the game progresses. I just wish it wasn't only Midtown. That makes me disappointed.
Well,
I mean,
they have to expand DLC, and I highly doubt they're going to move. I shot right through that guy, which is starting
Yeah.
to get on my nerves. But I highly doubt it's going to be too, or it's not going to expand into more of New York. I mean, I'm sure they're going to.
Oh, yeah,
go
I'm
to
sure
the
they're gonna move-
outskirts and everything
right.
else.
They're eventually going to hit all of
Yeah.
Manhattan Island, and then they'll probably move to like Brooklyn and things like that. I mean, this is
Yeah, 'cause I was
definitely
gonna
built
say, they
up
have
as like an
one
expandable universe. So maybe I don't know if they haven't really announced the future of this game, but they might take a Destiny route where every year it's just here's year 2 expansion, and yeah, here's the other half of
Boston.
Manhattan Island, or yeah, here's moving out to another city. But what do you guys think of like the beta overall?
It played
we
extremely
played it.
well. The
Yes.
graphics and everything actually
Yeah, it
felt
looked
pretty
very-
solid.
Yeah, it looked very nice. Like even by PS4 standards, not compared to PC, of course, it's going to look a little worse. But I
Well,
thought
for a
it looked
game that
very
size,
nice. Yeah, that's
pretty
true.
impressive.
For a world that big as well, I was very impressed. Especially like when the snowstorm comes in and it turns into like a whiteout. Like I thought that was
love
really
That
cool.
was awesome.
That added a whole
Yeah,
new
me
element
too.
of like suspense to it, where like I was walking up on NPCs, like NPC enemies, just out of nowhere. They're like 2 feet in front of my face and couldn't even see them until the last second. I thought the gameplay was solid. Like I liked kind of the cover shooting. Everything felt pretty fluid. I liked the kind of Assassin's Creed-ish ability where you can hold down like the run button and you just automatically vault over objects and things and ledges. I
The
enjoyed it a lot.
gunplay felt a lot like I said this when I first started playing it. The gunplay felt a lot to me like the old Siphon Filter games. Like as far as the reticles and the guns and stuff, it felt a lot like those old stealthy
Yeah,
PS1, PS2 style. Not that the gunplay was bad, because I actually think
No,
that it
like
works
all the
for
guns
this
felt
game.
different. Like a shotgun felt like a shotgun, and so on and so forth. Like all the guns felt
But
different.
it reminded me of that system, like the way you
Mhm.
equip things, the way I mean, obviously it's way more up-res and
Mhm.
advanced now, but it reminded me a lot of those
Like
games.
I like the skill tree system. It seems like for is not like it's not super duper like there's not like 40 skills that you're gonna unlock for only just kind of being 3 trees. It felt really cool, and it was nice to know that you can just change them on the fly. Like, oh, we're going into
And it
this.
seems
I'm gonna be the tank guy. You be the healer. All right, let's switch up our abilities.
and it seems like you can unlock everything on all the trees whenever
Yeah,
you
it's
want.
not
Because
like
they
one
have
of
three
those.
different side missions for like points in
Yeah.
each tree, and then you can just unlock and like you said on mission, change it on the fly and change
Do you not
your
think that
role.
it was really cool that you're building this base and you're doing that by finding the stuff within the
Yeah, finding like the
game?
materials and everything.
Mhm. Yeah,
Like,
it's
yeah,
very
you-
cool.
to me, the
We don't
thing
even
that
have
was really
crafting
neat
yet.
about that
Right.
is a lot of people are, never really go for like 100% of the trophies and platinum and all the things like that, because they don't want to find all the collectibles. There's really no benefit in doing it other than the fact that you can say that you did it and get the trophy for it.
Right.
But
Like
in
this
one,
incentivizes you to find
yeah,
stuff
you're
because not
literally
only
building the base.
right, not only
they
for
made
like
it
the
a
base
gameplay
stuff,
element.
right? Not only finding those materials, there's just even finding like the little collectible items like scraps of paper and voice recordings. They all give you XP too, so you even get some
yeah.
incentive. And I will say like the kind of range for that stuff showing up on the map is very generous. Like if you're within 50 feet of one, it just kind of pops up on the map and like, oh, here's a phone recordings nearby, and you
Oh,
just
yeah,
I
walk
don't know
right
if it's
to
gonna
it.
stay that way, or if it was just a
I
way
hope
of
it does.
getting them to feel, like, to let you feel out what those kind of things mean to the game.
For a
'Cause,
map
like,
that size, they have to have something like that.
well, so I think they may, and the only reason I think that is because I don't know if you guys found the drone in
Yes.
the game.
Yes, I did. Yeah.
That one was 50 feet above you, so there's no way
Right.
that
Right.
you are even close to that unless you can
Are standing, like,
sense
right
that
below
far
it.
out.
However,
Well,
they
even
had
if
that
you're-
scan that told you if things are nearby. The
That is
upgrade
true,
to the
too.
scan
For
had
the,
three
the little
options, and one of
pulse
them was
thing.
like locate hidden
Locates
items.
loot basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, they might rein in the distance, like maybe cut it from like 50 feet to 25 feet. But as far as like once you like walked up on those items, they're so fucking tiny. Like you'd have to have that. You would never see half of them just walking through the world because
Last of Us
it's
size
literally
things.
picking up like a phone. So it's as small as a damn phone.
Yeah, the collectibles are tiny in that game.
The abilities, I mean, as far as kind of like the perk system, they kind of showed you, but didn't really let you use it at all, so you didn't get to see much of that. The crafting, again, was something that was shown, but really, that thing, we knew absolutely nothing about it. We just you can pick up crafting materials, and everything else will be in the main
Breaking
game.
down stuff gives you crafting
Yeah.
materials. That's about all you know.
hmm So I wonder if it'll turn into one of those, like, it'll be breaking down versus selling. Like, what is going to be, a really rare item drops rare materials, sell it for a good amount of money, or you break it down for
Probably
the
the
crafting
blues.
materials.
Break down into better materials to make better.
Right,
upgrades.
I would assume that too. And there was like a
It's gonna be
5-tier.
like Destiny.
Oh yeah, I mean even down to the color scheme almost it was an exact copy of Destiny going for it was like gray, blue, gray, green, blue, purple, yellow, with yellow being the highest tier. It was the exact same thing, which whatever. It's a system that's been in place forever across multiple games. Why try to stand out when it comes to something as simple as item rarity?
Getting that gun too, by the way, was fantastic. That,
Oh, the
epic gun,
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that was a
Caucus
really
or
good
whatever
gun.
it was called. I kept calling it the
Caduceus.
Caucus because the Caucus was ongoing.
Yeah, that was cool, and it felt stronger than all the other ones, which is cool. But like Mike said, all the guns felt differently, or felt different, which was very nice.
Oh nice.
Some of
Oh
them
yeah.
had really, really bad kicks. Some of
Yeah,
them
like
had
the
really,
LMGs,
really good.
understandably, yeah, like those things, like you had to like tap them You couldn't even fire them full auto unless you were in someone's face, or that
They
thing was
also had
going
different
straight up to the
versions of
ceiling.
guns. I have
Yeah,
like
I did
two
notice that too.
ICRs. One was a single fire, what's it called? Scout rifle style, and then the other one was a regular assault rifle.
And then you can get the same gun, like, there was a level-based system, along with your personal level, along with the items you get. Like, you can get a level 8 version of a gun, and then you can get, like, a level 6 version of the same exact gun. So, the items level up along with your character.
Allowed you to carry more stuff, which I liked. Your inventory management stuff. There was a lot of elements of other games. It actually had a lot of Last of Us elements in it, too.
Yeah, like a lot of this.
Made me happy.
Yeah, the scavenging and crafting. You can kind of see, I wonder how important it's going to be to whether it's just upgrading the guns you have or if it's just building guns that you can only get through crafting. Like, I'm very curious as to how that's all going to play out.
I think they left enough open to tease us that it's going to be fun and exciting.
Oh yeah, that beta absolutely sold me on the game.
And when's the last time we put like 15 hours into a fucking beta?
Yeah, I was shocked. Yeah, Destiny was the last time.
Destiny was the last one.
And we haven't even really
like
gotten too much into talking about the Dark Zone, which seems is like the PvP area, which I was,
frustrated.
Frustrated. Yeah, it feels like there could definitely be some balancing to how stuff works. Like the rogue system needs a few tweaks. Like, I felt like it was way too easy to accidentally go rogue. Someone just kind of walking in front of you, you accidentally put a couple bullets in them, and great, now I'm a rogue. It's like, come on. Like, I know that's a hard fix, but hopefully there's something they can do.
At least it was only for a couple seconds, though. I mean,
right.
Like, you weren't literally a rogue death agent until you were whatever. The bad thing about that, though, is you were attacked instantaneously if you became rogue at all. And we baited a lot of people into becoming rogue so that we could get the bonuses and take their stuff. I mean,
that's why the timer doesn't matter, because as soon as you shoot somebody that you're not supposed to, everybody goes apeshit and starts shooting you.
Yeah. Again, it's one of the things that they should definitely do something about. I also, one of the things that kind of bothered me, and I thought maybe they should try to fix, when you're with your team and you guys are running around and then you call in a helicopter and you're going to let everything go, and someone else runs up really fast and jumps on your helicopter with you.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I did not like that either.
Basically sticks your group and into that area for a lot longer period of a time, because you don't have the ability to. I mean, not everybody got their stuff extracted, so obviously
There's only
stay around
4
and extract
hooks
again.
on the extraction line. That's the point.
Yeah,
I don't think there's anything negative about that. I think that it's bad. Like, okay, so if your group calls in the extraction, then I think your group should get
priority.
The quickest
First
time
priority?
to put stuff on there. Well, not even first priority, because there's no way to really give somebody first priority. What they should
maybe
do is
give it just, when the hook comes down, party members have there's like a 10-second window where only they can put it on there. They can only put their gear on there, and then it opens up to
if
everybody.
people aren't in your party, that takes them 20 seconds to get something on
Right.
instead of 5. So your team can throw all their stuff on really fast, whereas somebody else is left there spinning, their circle for a while, not being able to get something on. I don't know, that's one thing that caught my eye that is going to bug the shit out of me, is if we're in the Dark Zone, we've got some purple gear, and I'm going to extract, some guy runs up randomly and throws his shit on there, and now I can't. And I have to basically hide out and pray to God that nobody takes my shit. I'm going to quit playing the game.
I think it also didn't help, too, that, we were stuck in such a small area. They only gave us a slice of that zone. So, of course, everyone's going to be congregating in that one tiny area.
There's 3 extraction zones, and that's it.
Because I think what we saw was, maybe a quarter to a third of what the actual full size of the Dark Zone will be. So people will be more spread out for the final game. So hopefully that will... And then, like you just said, with being 2 to 3 times more extraction zones, that problem should hopefully alleviate itself.
Yeah, because you're not going to have everybody crowded in one
Right.
area.
And
But
just
it
one
did answer
small
the question
spot.
of how many people are going to be on one server. It did seem like it was somewhere between 10 and 20 people at a time.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We've seen... at one point I counted, on my screen, at least, 10 people I could see with my own eyes. At least, gamer tags and such. So I wonder if that will be increased
And that's just
with the
other
larger
players,
area.
'cause there
Right.
are NPCs as well.
Yeah, NPC, the NPC AI characters, not only your own party members as well. So
I do want to see missions and stuff while we're in the Dark Zone, because there wasn't really anything other than just run around and grab
think there
loot,
will be.
which...
right,
And I'm
I
sure
know.
there will be. There's
Well,
no
I
way
know
there shouldn't be,
they
but
came out right ahead and said that like the amount of AI enemies in the Dark Zone was reduced heavily for the beta, just to help with like server load and such. So because yeah, AI enemies were very few and far between to come by. So I
In
could
the Dark
see
Zone?
in the Dark Zone area. Yeah, it would be nice to see like some missions and stuff. But yeah, I mean, not taking away from like what we did, because getting into fights with like rogues and stuff was thrilling and fun as hell. But yeah, I would like to see more than just killing AI / other teams. Like add some missions, add some even if they're just like little side questy type things. Like throw all that in
And
there.
I'm sure there will be. We saw such a bit. We had one
Such a little
mission in the
taste.
entire
Yeah.
game.
And a lot of just little, like the instance, kind of like, I don't know if you want to call them side missions or events type things. Those were cool. There's a lot of like,
where
go,
you help people?
go here,
Yeah.
kill these guys, save the hostages, stuff like what you would expect. I liked how some of the things were like put on a timers, like you start like the virus scan thing, and then you have to find 3 other areas within like 2 minutes. Those were cool. Those were fun. But for the little taste we got, I was absolutely sold on the game. If I wasn't already before.
Yeah, it sold me.
Oh, a few more weeks. Just counting
are you
down
getting
the
the
time.
gold edition?
I mean, for the deal
What's
you
that
get
come
through
with?
Best Buy, it's hard not to.
What do you?
Gold edition's
What's the
just
deal?
extra.
You get the season
DLC
pass.
attached.
It just
Oh.
So
How much is the gold edition?
well, if you go through the Best Buy deal, it's the regular cost is $99.99, so $100, and then with the 20%
so we
off,
get it
it's
for like
80.
something.
So you basically get the
Yeah.
game plus the DLC for $80. And then
So
not
you
to
get the
mention,
DLC for
additional
$20
dollars
essentially.
because
oh yeah, because you get the $10 credit when you get the game on top of
So
that.
then yes, I'll get the gold edition.
It just seems as far as value wise.
I accidentally got the gold edition up front.
why am I
Didn't realize that I
voting
did
for
that.
But are you gonna keep it?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Too lazy to change it.
Oh, I just can't wait. Just can't wait.
Gonna be good.
Oh, hell yeah. Well, that is going to do it for the podcasting news edition of this episode. We're going to continue streaming for probably about another hour or so, maybe. Or until we finally get frustrated. We have been on quite the tear here. Winning
Yeah, we're
games
doing
and
pretty
kicking
well.
ass handedly, so... But we will be...
You're
I
welcome.
just got the
You're
coolest
welcome.
body armor.
For all audio listeners, we will be signing off here. You can follow us on Twitter at NWMPod. You can go to our website, nowwithoutmerit.net, with all the subscription info and links to all of our past episodes. Then you can always email us, podcast@nowwithoutmerit.net. Of course, each and every week we thank you for listening, and we will see you all next week.